So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so shy. I'm so nervous.
Why?
It's always nerve-wracking. I just sing. I don't have to talk too much.
That is fair. That's fair. It's me though. It's
It
cool.
is you. This is my birthday twin, by the way. We both Virgos, 21st September. In case you want to get us some
giving
presents.
it away.
Yeah, because I need to know in the calendar to get us presents.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. If you could describe how you're feeling in a colour, what would that colour be right now?
Blue. Blue gives me nervous vibes. So yeah, that's me.
Is there a particular tone of blue?
It's like the Tiffany & Co. blue because, you know, I'm still expensive.
That's kind of like, ain't that like mint?
Yeah,
Kinda,
you know they have it trademarked.
Yeah,
too,
they got, so it's Tiffany.
Tiffany blue.
All right, cool. You're expensive. You're clearly. Before we get into the conversation, the conversation about the music, I want to get to know about you as a person, right? So earlier I said that you're East London based. Is that where you grew up?
Where I was born and raised, yeah.
Okay. Whereabouts?
I'm in Newham.
Newham?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you want me to get more specific?
I think for those who know Newham, I don't want to say too much.
What?
Sorry.
Newham is honestly a beautiful land. It is. Beautiful land.
I mean, yeah.
Our mayor, Jay Huss, like, you know, come on. It's just exudes excellence.
Fair. Okay. So you grew up in Newham.
Yep.
What was it like growing up in Newham? I guess like for those who don't know, I would say like Newham, East London area is sort of like the home of grime, and that kind of era introduced that sound to the rest of London and the world, obviously. But what was it like for you growing up? Like, what kind of household did you come from? What was your surrounding areas?
I mean, growing up for me was honestly like really fun. I grew up in a house there was five of us, 5 siblings and my parents. And we grew up on like a council estate block. And although some people might, you know, give you the hard narrative of it was so tough, it was lit. Like we had so much fun. Me and my neighbors would like, you know, learn Beyonce routines in the middle of the square. We would have water fights and fill up our water balloons and bottles like in the tap behind the tower block that we weren't allowed to go to. Like each other's parents could call each other from the balconies, like, Lizzie, come home. Like, and I'd be like, oh, guys, my mom said I have to go home. Like, it was really fun growing it up. And yeah, in regards to the grime was definitely like a central part of growing up. Like, we had this game that we played called 16 Bars, which was in our little cage. But I think every area in the hood has a cage. And it would just be, everyone would have to have a go at freestyling. I had a go one time. And let me tell you, everyone in my ends gassed me up for ages. They were like, oh, what? Little Berch has got bars. I was like, yeah. I remember it to this day. I'm not going to say it because it's so embarrassing.
Come on, man. Give us something.
Nah, it was something like, I spit for my crew. Like, no. It was so embarrassing, but I still remember it. It was quite good. But yeah, we just had so much fun. It was a lot of laughter, a lot of community, and music was honestly such a binding part of growing up in an estate like that. Like, we would learn harmonies, me, my sister, my cousins, my neighbors, and then we'd come into each other's homes and like perform to our parents, like SWV, Week, Deja Vu. We had it on lock. Like, we knew who was taking the top, who was taking the like bottom. We knew, like, it was a great. I didn't realize those were the building blocks of me becoming a singer. So yeah.
So you would say music's been in your life since you can remember,
for sure,
to some degree, yeah. And I guess like this is a very cliche question in terms of when did you discover you were a singer, or when did you start? Where did you get into music? But I guess from quite early, you've mentioned doing harmonies and singing and 1-2 bars. You know what I mean? Like, so when did you feel like this is actually something I want to do?
I didn't really know for a long time. Like, I feel like it was something I always enjoyed. I remember coming home from church one time with my parents, and we were in the car, and they must have been like, so what do you guys want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I think I want to be a singer. And then I took it back really quickly. I was like, no, actually no. Cause I didn't know what the reaction was going to be. I was like, no, I want to be a doctor. And then, like, obviously I was lying to myself because I was not trying to be a doctor. But I think remembering that memory makes me realize, like, gosh, maybe deep down I had always wanted to do that. Later on, like during my teenage years, I wanted to do like musical theatre. Then I wanted to do athletics, and then it was just so many different things. But full circle, and I came back to music. So
big up you for that. You know, it's. I think we all have dreams, and we all kind of from young say we want to do this thing. Not all of us get there. You know, not all of us circle back to that. So I think that is quite a huge thing, even though you might just feel like you naturally got there. It's important that you get back to your dreams, you know. So big up you for that. In terms of, I guess, the journey then from, you know, growing up in the council estate, growing up in community, you mentioned community, and I think that is likely features in your journey as an artist. But in terms of like what you did settle on, so like you didn't become a doctor, what did you end up like actually taking forward? Did you go to uni?
I did go to uni. That was my dad's one thing. He was like, listen, if you're going to do this music thing, I want you to do it properly. So I was like, okay, I'll go to music college. But I had the greatest time there. Yeah, I went to Leeds Conservatoire. So.
Okay, what did you actually study?
I studied songwriting.
Okay.
Yeah, which was a brand new course at the time. So it was a free-for-all because my lecturers didn't know what they were doing. So I just blazed my way through 3 years.
Okay. That, I feel like that adds some context to like your music. In terms of actually knowing how to songwrite. Yeah. Because, I mean, there's songwriters, people who write songs and sing them, but then there's, like, songwriters who technically understand what it is that they're putting together, which I think is special. And that kind of leads me on, actually, to, I guess, like, the intentionality of the project. Am I an adult yet? That question, that particular question, where does that come from for you?
It was definitely a reflection of like being in my mid-20s and not yet quite feeling like I was an adult, like I was old enough, like I was responsible enough, like I was mature enough. And I was like, what are the indicators of me becoming an adult? Is it money? Is it success? Is it happiness? And trying to gauge what the measurements were. And yeah, I think it's an ongoing question no matter how much older you get. I think it's always going to be a question that you ask yourself. Like, I know some immature 40-year-olds and they're good facts. Too. Like it's maybe it's needed in society. You know what I mean?
Yeah, balance is needed. I guess like it is a question of like, what is an adult? Like, what does that mean to you? You know, what was going on for you in that time that you were making the distinction between who you were and questioning whether or not that was like adult enough, I guess.
Well, I guess for most people, your indicator of an adult or your only example of an adult in your life can be your parents. And I was just thinking, gosh, by 25, my mom had 2 kids. She had moved to 3 different countries. She hated Germany because they were racist, and then moved to the UK. And my dad had done 500 jobs. And I was like, I have no kids. I live at home. I have a cat. That's a responsibility. And I was like, I just don't feel like I'm doing anything. I have a job. Does that count? I'm making money now. Does that count? I don't know. I was just really struggling with the comparison factor. And I'm the youngest of the 5 siblings. So everyone else is older than me and, you know, buying homes and getting married. And I'm like, I feel so behind. And how much more time have I got left to get this right? And I think that's something, especially women, we do a lot. Is like you keep thinking that your timer is running out, which makes no sense at all. Because I now have some amazing, like, Black women in my life who are role models who always tell me that the 30s are the best. Like, now I'm super excited to turn 30. Like, I can't wait. But I guess it was the comparison factor of seeing other people accomplish. But like comparison is really the enemy, and you should not do it. So. Agreed. Okay. So, also a question on intentionality. You released this project the day before your birthday. Was that purposeful? Was there like a reason behind that? I just like releasing music around my birthday. Okay. It's probably a bit self-indulgent. Yeah, and I think maybe it's just something I'm always going to do. I love a September release. I feel like September's also a good time for music. You know, summer's done, it's autumn, it's not quite winter yet, so you can still enjoy a little bit of outside. I just feel like September is a good music time to like get, especially for like R&B and neo soul.
Yeah, I think for this project specifically, it sits within that sort of like autumn. You know, it might have been a rainy day, and you're just kind of chilling with your hot chocolate, and you just want to put some music on.
Exactly.
That's the vibe it gives me. Cool. Should we get into some music then?
Okay.
Yeah. Don't be shy. We're here for you tonight, all right? So can I just quickly get a show of hands for people who've sat with this project or know about the music just in this room so I can see. So there's a few, thank you. There are a few people who we will be introducing this sound to, or we're introducing Lizzie to. And what I ask is that you just be open, you know? Sit back, enjoy, close your eyes if you need to, you know, stand up, dance, whatever the music does for you, please do. I say that because I don't want to be judged based on whatever I do as well. And so, yeah, just kind of be free. This is a space where we're all in community now. And I think music has the power to bring us together. So whatever emotions are raised in this space, whatever you feel, just feel free to sit in it. If you need to step outside, feel free to do that as well. But yeah, I say that because, you know, I think as we intentionally listen to this, there may be things that speak to you, that resonate, that might pull some strings. So yeah, are we ready for some music? Yeah. All right. Cool. So we are going to get into the first track. This is "Don't Get Ahead of Yourself." So let's get into it. Opening track, beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, it feels like an exploration of time, patience, appreciating the journey, slowing down a bit. Why that as the first track? How did that come about for you?
This song came about and is really just dedicated to my little niece. She's 12 at the moment, and because I'm the youngest, I don't know about having younger siblings. That was never my vibe. So she came along, and, you know, my sister had her when I was 13. So she's somewhat of a niece / a sister / a daughter to me. Honestly, like, I really love her with my whole heart. And just watching her begin her teenage journey just made me realize, gosh, we really do like take it too fast in life. You know, she's wanted to do all these quote unquote adult things, wear makeup. She be in my makeup bag all the time, and I'd be fighting her. I'm like, no, because you look like a ghost because you have got the wrong color foundations on. And it was just pretty much almost in a way of me giving her like the message in the most meaningful way that I can, because, you know, she doesn't want auntie giving her lectures, but, you know, she likes when auntie makes her songs. So it was just about me telling her, like, take your time in life, like, don't rush it, enjoy your youth. It's not going anywhere. Adulthood is literally gonna come and slap you in the face. So just enjoy this time in life, enjoy being young, enjoy being happy, enjoy like all the emotions of it. And I think you can also take it to yourself as like a young adult too. I think it's a message that can translate to many stages in life, but this was, the story behind it was particularly for my 12-year-old niece.
Okay, because I was wondering if this was a conversation you were having with yourself, or if there was a time that you felt like, actually, maybe I'm going a bit too fast, and was there a moment of realization for you in that?
Yeah, I was definitely a mature, like, teenager, like, not necessarily in actions, but I felt like mentally I was always mature. I did not have time for them secondary school boys. No way. And I felt like I didn't really be young and foolish and reckless. Like, I was just always mature. And I somewhat wish I was just a bit more freer. You know, it wasn't necessary. I was always thinking, like, you know, what are my long-term goals? What do I want to do in 10 years? And what are the steps I'm going to do towards that? And I just wish, I wish before I was 16, I wasn't thinking about them things, but I was. So, yeah, definitely a realization that I should have just enjoyed being young, because now that I'm in adulthood, this hood is very crazy.
Yeah, facts. But so I guess, like, in being mature at a young age, was there circumstances that pushed you into that you felt like you didn't really have a choice but to grow up?
Yeah, for sure. I guess what are we like technically? When you like 1998 babies, are we Gen Z technically?
98.
So I don't feel like a Gen Z. Like I don't relate with these is it millennials? I don't know. I'm a zillennial. Like I'm somewhat in between.
Okay.
I just don't feel like, because I always say there's a difference between a 98 baby who was the firstborn and a 98 baby who's the lastborn, if that makes sense. I'm a lastborn 98 baby, which means I had my sister's hand-me-downs. I played Game Boy because it was what my brothers had. Like, it was a very different experience. And growing up around, like, kids who are older makes you a lot maturer. Yeah, so there was no one my age to be immature with. Like, everyone was older. I grew up around adults, so I guess I've always been quite mature. Yeah, so not all zillennials are, immature guys. Some of us have got sense.
Is millennials actually a thing, or you?
I don't know, but okay. I just made it up.
Okay, fair. How does that sort of sense of maturity or growing up around like older siblings, how does that seep into the type of music you were into?
Yeah, I was a copycat. I didn't know anything but to just do what they did. So my sister was a big R&B girl band fan. So I just listened to whatever she listened to, and she listened to Destiny Child on repeat. I know writings on the wall from beginning to end. Like, the commandments, thou shalt pay bills. I know every single one.
I could tell.
That was on repeat, and she would have us. She was the like super strict one when we were doing our community choirs. Like, she would be like, you have to sing this line, and like, I get so weak, and she'd be like, you're singing it wrong. Like, so my sister was definitely like, the whip bearer when it came to that. And yeah, I was obsessed with anything that she was obsessed with because she was my older sister. So I would just listen to what she listened to. We saved up our pocket money and bought our first CD albums, which was Confessions and Justified. We bought that at the same time from Woolworths. Yeah, so I'd say she in particular, of all of my siblings, definitely shaped my music taste. And then I grew up and became a little bit more independent, began exploring, discovered neo soul, and that grabbed me. Yeah.
What was your entry point into neo soul?
It was Jill Scott.
Yeah.
Lauryn Hill I always knew, but Jill Scott is who, she hooked me.
Yeah, that's a good
hooked
one.
Me.
That's a serious one.
Yeah.
Have you seen her live?
I have. I saw her live last year, and it was like a moment.
Yeah.
I was singing from beginning to end. Yeah. Honey molasses.
Come on.
Ebony. Guys, don't get me started. I love Jill Scott so much.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. I was there too. That was a phenomenal show.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. In terms, so with this track, Don't Get Ahead of Yourself, I guess one of the questions that I was thinking about before coming into this was, what actually keeps you grounded?
Oh, that's such a good question. What allows me to not get ahead of myself? What keeps me grounded? I'd say my friends. I'm really lucky enough to have such fantastic friends. And I realized that's something that not all people can say. I've had the same like friendship group since I was in year 7. Wow. Some of them from like birth. And those girls are my anchor. I know that even if I go weeks without speaking to them, they're going to pick up the phone and be there for me. And I also love the fact that they don't love music. That really keeps me grounded. Like, they don't care for it at all. I could be like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm playing the Event Time Apollo. And they're like, that's cool. Cool. So when are we going to meet up for drinks? And it actually makes me really happy that for them, they're just like, what's the Event Time Apollo? Like, they just don't, it doesn't faze them like any of like the big things that I may be doing. For them, they're just like, that's nice. I'm really proud of you. What is it? Yeah. And it makes me happy. And that's a really, really fantastic grounding factor. I think all musicians should have friends who are not musicians or just like don't really care for music at all. It's the best thing. Yeah.
I agree. As long as they're supportive though.
Yes.
That counts.
Always supportive.
Cool. Well, I guess like for a lot of people in the creative field like us, we're always thinking about what's next. So like you release the project, you're probably already written the next one, you know, or you're in the process of creating the next one. You know, you get something that other people will be like, oh my God, that is so amazing, like well done. And you're like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I'm already thinking about the next thing.
Yeah.
How do you sit in those moments that are quite special? How do you kind of make sure that you're appreciating them?
It's actually something I really struggle to do. And it's something I've more noticed this year about myself is I really struggle to be in the moment. I'm always like, you know, ready to be on the next thing. So yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I have to make the conscious effort to be present. Even nights like this, I have to make the conscious effort to be present. I'm also such a homebody, so I could be doing the most exciting thing and you will hear me say 10 times, I can't wait to go home. I can't wait to go home. Like my manager, Senna, you probably heard me say that on tour 1,000 times. Like, gosh, I can't wait to go home. But like, you know, I have to check myself every single time. Like, this is a blessing. God has given me this opportunity to be here and I need to be present and be thankful. So I'm really thankful to be here and I'm really enjoying this Q&A. So yeah, just it's a conscious effort to be present.
Yeah, I feel you. Thank you. So I would like to get into the next track.
Let's go.
So before we get there, this one, is very special to me.
What one is this one?
Flaws and all. This song is so beautiful. So when you listen, please listen to the lyrics. Yeah, I don't know if we have any people in love in this space, but you don't have to reveal yourselves. It's fine. You're being shy. Yeah. But if you have been in love, if you identify with the feeling, the emotion, I think this song just embodies that. Yeah. And yeah, we'll talk about it after, but I love this song. So yeah, let's get into it. I love that song. I really love that song. I think I'm a lover boy at heart. So I think I'm struggling here because I'm trying to explain why I love the song so much. I think if you've been through particular journeys with relationships and love, when you finally find that one and you find that experience that kind of sees you for who you are and accepts that, I think that is super special. And I think to be able to put that into a song is genius and very, it requires talent and intention and I guess like real experience, you know. So where does this song come from for you? Yeah, you knew this was coming. So talk to me about that.
I'll just be honest, like I had just fallen in love. So
say that again. Right, come on.
My baby, he's here. I ain't gonna point him out, but he's the most handsome man in this room, so easy to find.
I know the man them are thinking, wait, hold on.
Easy to find. Yeah, and it's pretty much everything you just said, like yeah, just finding that love that just feels so amazing. Like I can't really put it into words really. That's pretty much the song's job. And actually it's actually funny the conversation we had this morning talking about, you know, Black women finding love. And I feel like because of life experiences we don't necessarily always believe that it can happen for us, and maybe at some point we even stop looking for it. But when it does happen, it's just so we can breathe because we're so strong all the time, and I think we do an amazing job at working on ourselves and loving ourselves, but like having the opportunity to be loved, guys, I think it's one of the greatest gifts that God has given to mankind. Is
Agreed.
To
I
find
agree.
love.
I agree.
This fly is loving on me.
I agree. So like, obviously to get here to this experience of love, you likely had to go through other experiences. Yeah. What was your experience like, sort of dating in your younger years and sort of like, I guess, yeah, finding love or figuring out what that actually looks like for you? What was that experience like?
I mean, since because my man's in the room and it's like,
Obviously,
there was no one else
yeah.
before you. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what? Other people? Exes? No, it doesn't exist. No, I dated here and there. Kind of back to a comment I said earlier, like, I was always quite mature. I didn't give a heck about mandem in school. I remember one of my friends, actually, Tiwa, he was so funny. And he must have been like, he was like, yo, Lizzie, like, no one can actually say anything about you, you know, because, like, you don't really talk to man like that. I said, yeah, because you guys, like, are losers. And I would never give you the time of day or the privilege to even handle this. So I feel like I've always been very particular. But when I did start dating, they were not worth it at all. Nothing was bad. I've dated one narcissist. You have to have one narcissist in life. And they just taught me all the things I didn't want. They were weird. Like, some of them would also just, like, didn't have much respect. Some of them, I think, also had just weird ideas of what a relationship was, and I wasn't here for it. So, in a way, I wasn't looking for it. I didn't care. Like, I genuinely feel like I was in a place, when I did find love, I feel like I was in a place where I could have gone years without dating and been really happy, because I had a unit that was fulfilling. I had a unit of friends who were there for me. I had a unit of family who were there for me. A relationship would have been a cherry on top. So yeah, I've basically just now found the cherry on top.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. How do you prepare to find that cherry? Like, how do you prepare to be ready for that? Like, because love, I think, nowadays, I think there's a lot of situationships, there's a lot of mistrust, there's a lot of cheating, there's a lot of lying, there's a lot of hiding oneself and not bringing yourself to the full, bring your full self to relationships. How did you prepare yourself to take the risk that is loving someone and being loved?
I don't know if there's any preparation that you really can do other than, like, with yourself. Just working on learning about yourself, almost dating yourself in a weird way, like figuring out what are the things that you appreciate, what are the things that make you happy, what are what are the things that you would want someone to do for you. Do it for yourself. Also date your friends. Like, I mean, like your best friends. Like, go on a coffee date with your best friend. Like, hang out. That's your girl. You guys can hang out. And I even made a joke with my best friend the other day. Like, I bought her a very expensive bracelet for her birthday, but I was like, girl, I'm gonna love you like a man loves you, so that when a man comes into your life, you already know what the standard is. Like, if he ain't treating you how I treat you, throw him away. Because I really do spoil her like she's my man. She's not my man, but you have to spoil your friends like they're your man. You got to treat them. You got to give them all the time of day. So if you're lucky enough to have that unit of friends, like, really, like, pour love into each other, because they're gonna need it and they need to have good examples of it. What else? Yeah, I don't know. Cool. I'm not a love therapist, I promise. I have not got the answers.
No, but I think it is beautiful to see and hear a younger person express and talk about love in the music as well. Because there is a lot of music out there that is about the club or about,
toxic situations,
the toxic stuff. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so I think, I just want to appreciate that level of vulnerability and honesty, because, love is a risk, but it can be one of the most beautiful ones, So thank you for sharing that with us.
Welcome.
Should we get into the next track? Yeah. That was I Hope. So a very honest song about, I guess, what you hope for your experience of love to be, and sort of like the wish that it lasts forever. Mm-hmm. How have you confronted your fears when it comes to that part of love?
You really just have to grow it in trust, and just know that trusting is knowing that that person could hurt you, but trusting that they won't, in a way. Because being in love is honestly probably one of the most vulnerable positions you can be in. it's like, oh my gosh, you have the most power over me right now to genuinely destroy my life.
Facts.
Like, and you're just hoping that this can work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you balance, I guess, that uncertainty and sort of the fear of like growing distant, which is what you've written about or you mentioned in that track, and balance that with like a healthy relationship and kind of pushing that away and allowing yourself to be fully in? How do you balance that?
I guess you just have to wire your mind to focus on the good parts, and learn from whatever the bad parts are, and just be true to yourself in regards to if you're seeing things that you're not necessarily fond of or you don't want for yourself, being able to be at peace with letting it go. Gosh, that's such a loaded question. I don't even know where to begin.
I think you've got the space and the time, so
a healthy balance. And I think it's also important to not constantly in a way where it's not healthy, but to do things that reassure your partner that they are your one. Learning each other's boundaries. There may be things that you are uncomfortable with or they're uncomfortable with, and you know, if you love someone, you're gonna be like, you're gonna talk it out and be like, cool, right, I got you. I now know that that's something you don't like, or I now know that's something I do that you don't like. We're not gonna do that anymore. So yeah, them healthy boundaries and conversation. Oh my gosh, just speak to each other. It's really not that hard. You just have to communicate. Communication is such a big key. And enjoying the good times in regards to like laughter. I think laughter is such an important part of a relationship. I'm lucky enough to have like parents who are like almost 40 years strong, and sometimes I wake up in the morning and they're in their room giggling, and I'm like, Mom, what else has this man got to say that is funny after 40 years? And she's like, oh, he was telling me a story about his childhood. I said, so after 40 years and he still has stories that you've not heard. And she was like, it's life. Yeah, it's life. Life is, if you're in love with someone, they've always got something to tell you. Like, they be laughing. I'm like, 40 years and you guys still find each other funny. That is impressive for me.
It is.
It's impressive. So keep each other laughing, keep each other smiling. I think that really like can erase so much anxiety from a relationship. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I was going to ask you where your examples of love have come from, you know?
Yeah, definitely my mum and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad is obsessed with my mum. Like, in a way that I find so beautiful and so cute. If she's getting changed in the morning, he will wait for her to get ready so he can match her outfit. Like, that level of cute. Like, it's so adorable. He wakes up in the morning, makes her a cup of tea. Like, he's up at the crack of dawn making her a cup of tea. He loves his woman. If we're arguing with my mum, he will be like, don't talk to my wife like that. I'm like, damn sis, you got a good man. You got it. I will not talk to your wife like that. I'm sorry, sir. I'm like, yeah, I want that. I want
What's your heritage?
I'm from Ghana.
Okay.
Ghanaian men are not all bad.
Who said that? Okay, cool. That's good to know that's a direct. Would you say that's an influence on how you carry yourself?
1,000%. Yeah. And I'm a daddy's girl too, so yeah. Okay. I've been spoiled.
That makes a difference as well. That was We Found Love. So the thing that we haven't really spoken about so far is the production and the grandness of this EP. I want to know about your process. Like, how do you come about finding the music that you're looking for? Does the music come first, or does the lyrics come first, or does the concept come first? Like, what is that for you?
Oh, it's always different. It's always different. Each song has its own process. Sometimes it's the lyrics. Sometimes it's like a melody. Sometimes I might hear a harmony in a song, or like a chord sequence in a song. I'm like, oh, I really like that. I'd love to like work on that as a seed of an idea. This one I think started with the lyrics, and shout out to Mr. Danny Hilton, top tier producer. MC Grime. Like, listen, this guy's so multifaceted. He plays the saxophone as well, guys. Like, I'm just going to embarrass him. And the congas. He played all the congas on the EP. Like, he just does so many amazing things that, honestly, I don't think he even gives himself enough credit for. So thank you so much for being my partner in crime in all of this. And thank you for me bringing you the dumbest voice notes and actually turning them into a song. Because this song, I had it in my head. Like, I remember being in the studio, be like, I can hear it in my brain. I can hear it in my brain. I sound very silly when I'm in studio. I'm like, the strings sound like this. And I should know better because I actually know how to like communicate what I need musically. Like I did study. But I'm always like, yeah, I need it to be like this. And that's what he did. He knows exactly what I mean. Like, he really knows every single part of my body language that would be like, I know what you mean. Like, hold on, let me just do this. And he absolutely bodied the production for this, because does it not just sound like a Disney track? Like, it's I think I remember when I received. I wasn't there when the strings were recorded because, you know, your homegirl works full time. Boo, tomatoes. And I came back from work and he was like, God, let me know what you think. And it was to this and another song that had strings. And like, I remember I just got home, I dropped my bags and hadn't even gone upstairs. I just sat on the sofa and I listened to it and I shed a tear because I was like, it's so beautiful and it's exactly what I imagined. And I didn't even have to be there for it to happen because you genuinely like understand exactly what I need musically. Yeah, so he's the one to thank for all of that, to be honest.
Give a round of applause.
Big up, Danny.
So, to emphasize, yeah, the track is really well vocally produced and instrumentally. Do you have an intentionality about, I guess, well, I feel like this track and this EP generally sits across like multiple eras of music, so it's not just 2024 or 2023 when it was released. It's actually can fit into so many different timelines. Is that something intentional for you, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
Yeah, it was definitely intentional. I remember one of the references I kept saying for this one was, gosh, who was it? Oh my gosh, this is so silly. I've forgotten the name. Guys, help me here. Who's the one who sings the la 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 la? Minnie Riperton, thank you. I was like, I need it to feel like a Minnie Riperton song, like, you know, that beautiful summery feeling. So yeah, this one sat in that era for me. Sunshine, sunflowers in your hair kind of vibe. That's what I wanted. I still feel like it has a bit of a modern touch to it. I think you'll never be able to erase the fact that it's made in the 2023, whenever it was made. But yeah, I feel like this is very reminiscent of a Minnie Riperton era. Yeah.
And how are you navigating like creating soul, neo soul, in a space that at the moment is very R&B heavy, or there's a focus on R&B at the moment that sounds a particular way? How are you navigating, or how do you stay true to what you're trying to do?
I don't think it's hard because I feel like that's naturally what I do, and I can't force anything else, even if that's something that is the most prominent sound in the genre. Gosh, if I was to release a pop track tomorrow, a pop R&B track, I don't know if it might sound good, but I just don't know if it'd be me. And don't get me wrong, I love all the R&B girls, but I definitely do sit in a neo soul lane. And before I started releasing music, before I released my first EP, that is something that I was struggling with. I was like, I just don't know how my music is going to be received. I don't know if people still listen to soul music like that. I don't know if people are going to enjoy neo soul in 2020, which is when I first released my EP. And I have to say a massive thank you to Cleo Soul, because when she released Rose in the Dark, I was like, oh, I make music like this. And if Homegirl was doing it, then I can drop this. Like the music was done. It was on a USB stick. It was ready to go. And then I just kind of had the confidence to be like, listen, if no one listens to this, I'm cool. I'm just going to put it out. And somehow people enjoyed it. I do think that soul is a sound that isn't too foreign to a UK audience. Like, we've had eras of fantastic soul music throughout history. So in a way, I guess I can say I have that privilege. So big up to all the R&B girls who are sitting in that amazing dance lane, who are sitting in the pop lane too, and they're fighting the fight, and they're being seen. They're really being seen. So I will always be a supporter of the R&B scene, even though, like me myself, despite being in the R&B scene umbrella, is definitely of a soulful vibe, and it does sit differently. But we're all one big family at the end of the day. R&B and soul are cousins.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like your music is well received because it speaks to the heart. And
Thank you.
I think it's global, you know, not to mention you just toured with No Name, you know, big US artist who's absolutely smashing it, released her last project quite a few months ago. And then you ended up on tour with her. How did that come about?
Gosh, I don't know. One day, like, she followed me on Instagram, and I remember messaging Sana. I was like, "Oh my days, No Name just followed me. Like, does that mean she listens to my music? Like, what is this?" And I think there was later on an opportunity to go on tour, and I think I was put forward, and I just was chosen. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't even tell my bosses at work. I just went on tour.
Wait, you didn't take time off?
I did take time off eventually, but I was so scared to book it because, like, bro, I'm booking like 20 days in bulk.
Yeah.
That doesn't get approved. But I was like, guys, like, I need to do this. So I just booked it, and they're like, what is this for? I was like, I'm just going to need time off. I'm just going to need time off. So yeah, they were cool with it in the end.
Okay. And what was tour like for you? What did that communicate for you about your career and like your journey and your future?
Tour was honestly amazing. I had an amazing time in each city. And it made me realize the love for R&B and neo soul across Europe. And also how many black people there are across Europe, guys. Oh my gosh. Like, when I got to France, I said, yeah, this is where we are. Like, I really enjoyed Paris. And it gave me a bit of a confidence boost to, like, you know, expand and believe in myself and go further, and to not stay in, like, you know, the mental box that you can sometimes put yourself in. Like, there's so much more I can do. I do truly believe there's so much more God has in store for me, and I can't wait to be able to go back to them cities and maybe do my own show there. Like, you know, that's something I now can see myself doing, which I probably wouldn't have not seen myself doing before that tour. So thank you to No Name.
That's dope. And thank you to yourself as well, I'd say. Let's get into the next track. So this one is called Where Did All My Friends Go? And we'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Cool. That was Where Did All My Friends Go? Again, I really enjoyed that song, you know. And I think it's interesting because it speaks to a time, I guess, in my life where I'm asking similar questions and looking around and sort of saying, who's there and who can I trust, and who there's loads of, it's weighted within that, right? But how have you navigated the shift in friendships as you've got older, or as your circumstances have changed?
I mean, the group has definitely gotten smaller. Not for any reasons of malice, just, you know, naturally people drift away. But I'm happy to say that I have the best of friends. You know, I'm going to take this time to shout out my homegirl Kamaria. Listen, this girl has been on tour with me, and she's been my rock throughout tour. She sat in the back scratching her head because she doesn't want you guys to turn around, but turn around and look at her and embarrass her. But honestly, this is one of them girls, like, if I call on her, she's there. Like, I'll be like, babe, are you free on Thursday? She's like, you know I am. Like, she's just always there, and really has been, you know, as she calls me, her handbag throughout life, and the years that we've known each other. We used to live together in uni. Like, we've had a great time. So big up Kamaria for coming on tour with me and just being the best friend a girl can ask for. But yeah, as the friendship groups have gotten smaller, the relationships have grown in quality though. So but I think in this song I was definitely taking some accountability for some of my actions. Like, some of the things that I've done, I'm not the best at responding to messages. I'm just really bad at it. So I just find it really overwhelming to go through WhatsApp. So, but I have my hours where like I'll literally filter unread and reply to every single message. But then what happens is everyone responds.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my days, like I just replied. Why are you responding so fast? So yeah, there's some accountability. I would like to say that I am a thoughtful friend who is always there for my girls and my guys. However, yeah, I know there's parts that I play into some friendships that have unfortunately just withered away. But no malice, never malice.
But how do you grieve those past friendships, or how do you heal from them, or how do you kind of how do you take certain lessons and then move on for you? What's your experience?
I actually take friendship loss really hard. I'm just one of them girls. Like I really do love my friends, so I really fight for it to work for a long time. But sometimes you just have to let things go, and by the time it gets to that point, I have come to peace with it. But it's always painful. Like, for example, if you see them again, and it's to think like, gosh, this is someone that I literally spent every single day with, and now it's like, hey, how are you? How's your mom? Like, it's so nice to see you. And I'm like, this used to be like someone who you would sleep at my house for 7 days straight. Like, so those can be painful, but you really just have to be at peace with the fact that a part of adulthood is just, understanding that some people are only in your life for seasons, and you take them for the time that you had. You're thankful for the time that you had, and you just have to let it go when it passes.
It's interesting because I feel like that's something we know in theory, and we maybe have seen our parents, like when you're young, your parents are throwing house parties. There's always these like adults, uncles, aunties, always at the house after church. People are just knocking on the door, coming through. And as you get older, less and less, right? And the sense of community shrinks a bit. How have you managed to maintain your community? Like, what is community to you, and how have you maintained that?
Gosh, the maintenance of it is you have to be practical and be like, listen, we are going to see each other once a month. That's the one commitment. We can see each other more, obviously, but our one commitment for my WhatsApp group chat is we're going to see each other once a month. We all have each other's diaries. So we're super pragmatic with it, and we're also super cost effective because we know life be life and it's a cosy live. So, sitting in the park, that's cool with me. It's free. The air is free. The grass is free. Let's just go sit in the park because it's just you that I want to see. We don't need to go out and eat and spend money in restaurants that we know we can't afford. Let's just go to the park. I'm going to make some jam sandwiches. Someone bring some chicken. Someone bring your mum's Hennessy. Let's just go to the park. We have a massive park. We have lots of beautiful greenery in Newham, in the land of the rich and free. Lots of greenery. So we just find a park and we sit and we chill and we laugh. We fall asleep. We've fallen asleep in the park so many times. Go to a park.
And has what you require from friendships changed over the years?
Yeah, for sure. And the balance of what we require too. Sometimes I need to be more of the giver. Sometimes I need to be more of the receiver. Sometimes I need the emotional support. Sometimes my friends need emotional support where, I need to be aware that I might be receiving phone calls at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because they're going through things. But, I'm going to pick up because I know when it's my turn to be going through things, they're going to pick up. So, yeah, it's just the balance.
Okay, cool. And I think it's interesting because obviously the title of the project is Am I an Adult Yet? Where does friendship sit in that question? Like, what's the relationship between friendship and adulthood?
I would say your relationships become so meaningful and more important to you as you get older. You become so much more thankful for it. But it's also your safe space of where you get to all just be immature together. Knowing that you've got a group of people who have known you for so long, there's no judgment. I'm probably my most immature when I'm with my friends, even though we're meant to be a group of adults now. We're meant to be 25, but we still play Nintendo Wii. Like, we still have Mario Kart competitions. We had one last week. Like, we just like to be immature because you have to be mature every other hour of your week. It's like, oh, these are my people. Come, let's do something dumb. Like, let's go to a trampoline park and just be childish. Like, having those friends that you can just relax about not being an adult. But then also having a degree of, I guess, adulting with them, where it's like, oh my gosh, you're getting married. Oh my gosh, you're buying a house. Those are the kind of conversation we're having now. It's crazy. Like, why are two of my friends getting married right now? Like, what's going on? People are having babies. So there is that there. But even within all of that, it's nice to like go and see my like friends who are having kids, and go and see my friends who are planning weddings, and not think about that and just be children again. So yeah, I guess that's where it sits in adulthood. With like, I guess in a way, they're the part that in a way makes me feel like we can't be adults, surely. Us, we're adults. They trust us with responsibilities because when I'm with them, I feel like I'm 16 again. So yeah, they're always a nice reminder that we're winging this together. We're all kids.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually quite refreshing to hear. I think when you get to my age, there's no surprise about people having kids or marriage or anything like that. So yeah, it's good to hear. It does feel like that when it's like when you're at a certain age and you're like, it starts to happen in like a domino effect.
And I think it can create pressure. That's another thing that we've spoken about. Like, you know, like one of my friends, like, you know, she's just not at any of them things, like not thinking about any of them things. And she's like beginning to feel a certain pressure, like, should I be? And I'm like, not at all, mate. Like, not at all. Live your life. Live your baby girl life. You're not paying any bills right now. Enjoy.
Wow. No bills.
No bills. Can you imagine? Thou shalt pay bills.
You're so unserious. Let's get into the final track, Lost a Little, and then we'll come back and then open up the floor for the audience to ask questions. So let's get into this final track. It's called Lost a Little. That was Lost a Little. That is a very grand finale, I feel, with the strings and the instruments, and the bass is very heavy on that. Why that as the final track?
I think this was more of a song that was about everyone. I think some of the other songs were pretty much about my experience and things that other people can relate to. And this song was about, you know, everyone, like something that is just talking a little bit more generally. Yeah. Just a bit more generally about how, you know, no one's doing this thing right. None of us adults, supposed adults, have got this right. Yeah, I don't really talk about the real meaning of this song. It's actually probably, I would say this is probably my most vulnerable song on the EP. And it was just, I found myself with someone who's really close to me in my life. I found myself just being really hard on them and quite a bit judgmental of their life choices, and just feeling like they could have done better, despite understanding, like, you know, circumstances of, you know, environmental growing up in certain places. But I just felt like I just wish you'd done better. But then becoming aware that, you know, actually, as much as you think you know someone, you don't really know what they're going through. And it's so important to have grace and love for those people in particular, because you just don't know what they're going through, and you can't be expecting perfection from everyone. So especially that chorus, like, you know, smart ones get lost. They get lost sometimes. Even when they've been given all the best tools in life, sometimes they just get lost. So you just have to give them a little bit more time, a little bit more grace. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing the true meaning behind that. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's true. I think it's interesting that sometimes, yeah, we can kind of like project and look outwards and be like, oh, I wouldn't do that, or I'd do that differently. And like you said, sometimes it's about having grace for others, but also grace for self as well. You know, we all kind of go on our journeys and have to figure it out and maybe come back to the path we're meant to be on. So yeah, thank you for being vulnerable this evening.